back.
Here.
Back in black. Look at us. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
I heard you went to Disney World.
We did.
What'd you enjoy the best? What'd you like about it the most?
The G-forces.
Just the G-forces across all of the spaces. Yeah, you know, when you were a little kid, we had a like a pillow fight room, and we had a pile of pillows in the middle, and I used to throw you across the room into the pillows.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't have said that. Dad, your dad's going to jail. All right, let's go. Let's get started. We usually start with a little thing we call "What Happened Last Week," but I was thinking we would start something new today. And so I thought we would leave the super numbers behind. We were working on super numbers for a while. And we would kind of start dipping in towards analysis of stock data. That's where I thought we would go. You cool with that, Campbell? Yeah. And I thought that maybe what we would do first is, and I don't know, I'm playing with a couple ideas, but I was thinking maybe what we would do is we would create just some, create some random data and use that as our source for analysis. I'm thinking along those lines. But I'm also thinking we could go right into let's get actual data and work with it. But
okay. Let's do actual data, I think, because that will be easier than creating it random.
I actually think it's a little bit harder to do that, I think, because we're going to have to actually get that piece done, but we'll do our best. How about that? Okay? Does that sound good? All right. All right. With that, let's switch over to your machine.
Yes. And so we created a new project. This is the GitHub for it. Do you want to copy that link and...
Yeah, I do. Hold on one second. I want to get my chat window up here. There it is right there. Loading up. Chat window is loading up. Let me grab this and I'll paste that into chat so kids out there have got it. Like that. That's what we're starting with. And all we've done is essentially just created a brand new WPF project inside this repository. That's it. You want to show them the code to that? Campbell, switch over to Visual Studio. There it is. So go ahead and open up that tab on the left there. Yeah, that one right there. And so you see just basically there's our main window XAML right there. There's nothing inside of it. Double click on the main window at the bottom there. That's it. But what I want to do is I want to kind of have a, well, I guess it would be good if I kind of visualize this first, because I was really kind of just thinking about mathematically what I wanted to do. But I think I want to have a place there on the window we just saw to be able to kind of graph the data that we have, right, that's coming in. Yeah. Kind of what I think I want to do. All right, let's see if we can. You said you wanted to go after real data. So we're going to go into Manage NuGet Packages for Solution. This allows us to go look and browse for libraries that can help us out in the code that we want to create. Let's type in Bittrex. Nice. So I've got this thing out here, right here, and this is called Bittrex. Bittrex is an API that allows us to access a service provided by Bittrex that allows us to ask the price of a stock, for example, and get other data on it, like its volume, things like that. So that I'm going to add that to this. Like this, and we're going to click install on that. And change solutions, click OK to proceed. So it's going to also install Newtonsoft.json, which is JSON. I don't think we've worked with that yet, Campbell, but JSON is a file format for sending objects like across the internet, for example, or storing an object and then rebuilding the object or reconstituting the object.
I heard about it a little bit at the conference.
Oh, you did? Okay. So Campbell was at the Dev Intersection conference as well, and so we heard a little bit about it. It's bringing in crypto exchange, WebSocket, that's for communicating over the internet, number of security cryptography pieces as well. So cryptography is basically a way of securely sending data so other people can't figure out what you're sending. Does that make sense? So we make, for example, we make a purchase order, we make a buy order, we're going to authenticate that we are who we say we are, and we'll probably be using some services from the cryptography to be able to make it so other people who might be trying to listen in won't be able to figure it out.
Or it would be much harder.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll say okay. License, we're going to say I accept. And here's the output. So it's just installing. You can see it's installing all the pieces needed. So using NuGet is actually it's a relatively new tool that developers have. This interface right up here. In the past, we had to go and add manual references, things like that. And when I say past, like, I don't know, about 4 or 5 years ago, seems like that sort of thing. I could be wrong on the time on that, but it's a relatively new piece in here. Okay, so we've done that. That's one of the pieces. Now, I think I want to start with something maybe simple. Let's start with simple, right? It's always good to start simple. So I want to start by putting, I think, just like a label on this. I'm just going to keep the grid, and we'll just put like a label or text box out here, TX. TB is text block. And I'm going to call this TB stock price, like that. And its text is going to say no stock price yet. Okay? And the idea is that we're going to change this, is what we're going to do. So let's come back over here. And I'm just gonna, I think I copied that to clipboard. I'm just gonna paste that in there so I remember that's the thing I want to work with there. And now what I want to do is I want to create something based on what I understand from that. Is a Bittrex dot. I'm expecting that. Is it because I want to say new Bittrex dot.
What is a Bittrex?
Bittrex is the service that provides data. The data that's going to be the stock prices, things like that. I was originally thinking we would create random data, kind of random data with rises and dips and things like that, and then run our analysis on it. But I'm not going to do that yet. Okay, and we want to create a Bittrex client is what we want to create. So a client is something that allows us to talk to a server, like here. Okay. Now, I'm going to come in here, we're going to remove the type qualifier, and I should tell you, I'm just kind of searching and exploring around here on this. I'm not like by any means an expert or incredibly knowledgeable about this, aside from what you're really seeing right here. I want this actually not to be a local though, so I'm going to widen scope, promote to field, like that. And that's how we're going to do it. So we've got our Bittrex client. So again, Bittrex client allows me to talk to the server.
Yes.
If once I have that, I should be able to come in here and hit a dot and now see different kinds of things that I can do with that client. Okay. Yeah. Like one of the things that I could do is I could say get ticker, like this, and a ticker is something that provides data back to you, right, on a particular stock. And it's taking a string as a symbol. So we could probably do something like BTC for Bitcoin, like that. And maybe that's all we need. Let's go ahead and declare a local for that. And maybe I won't make this local either. Maybe I'm going to split this. We're going to call this Bitcoin. ticker, like that. And let's split that. Split initialization from declaration, come in here, widen scope, promote to field. So inside our main window, this is our constructor, right? So this is our class, the main window. This is our constructor. We're going to call initialize component. That takes care of getting all the WPF controls built and initialized. Okay? Then we're going to create our Bitcoin ticker right there. That's the next thing that we're going to do.
Yes.
All right, and then now that we have that ticker, we should be able to come and grab something in that ticker now that might be interesting. My guess it's probably data.
Well, that would make sense.
Last trade rate. Okay.
Yeah. And then we could compare that to the current trade rate.
Yeah, well now I'm going to use that TB stock price up there. And I'm going to say .text is equal to, and I'm going to pass in the trade rate. Is there anything on that? Just two strings. So what is the type here? It's a decimal. Okay, maybe I'll throw a $sign in front of it and I'll say BTC is trading at that rate. And we'll just see if that works. So built, and we get an exception. One or more errors occurred. Let's take a look at this. View details. All right, what's cool about this exception, I'll show it to you. Exceptions can have inner exceptions, and that chain can go on forever, essentially. This one's null, but you could keep going on and on and on. It's like a parent that can have an infinite number of children. Each child can have a child as well. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can grow up and be a parent, that sort of thing. So the first outer exception message is here. One or more errors occurred. All right, cool. The inner exception is right here. Its message is there. BTC is not a valid Bittrex symbol. Should be base currency dash quote currency.
Example, ETH dash.
So ETH I think is Ethereum and BTC is Bitcoin. So this is asking how much does Ethereum cost if I buy it in Bitcoin?
Ooh, oh.
Now there's a coin out there called USDT, which is tethered to the US dollar. Mm-hmm. So I should be able to do a dash USDT here, like this.
That's how many Bitcoins can I buy with dollars?
That's what would the Bitcoin price be in US dollars, or something really close to US dollars. So USDT is a coin, is a cryptocurrency that's tied to the US dollar. So let's try running that. Okay, now the next question is, does this look right? So we get back a value that is, you know what, let's change the font size of this thing. We'll use XAML hot reload here. We're going to come in here, see, you want to do this Campbell font size?
Yeah.
Make the font size like big enough so that we can see that nice and big.
Sure, I'm not sure if that's quite
Alt
big
tab
enough.
over and we'll see. Well, we'll alt tab and change it if we need to. All right,
Yeah,
there we go.
that's
So what's that
nice.
number, Campbell?
35,000
Yeah,
approximately.
right.
35.5.
561. Point a lot other. So that's kind of what it is. Now let's go look at, let's see if this is correct. We want to see current Bitcoin price in USD for US dollars. And
Yeah.
is it right?
It went up a bit, but that's
35,578.
pretty close to right.
It's pretty close.
And it's close enough that I think that might have just been due to it being in USDT, not USD.
That you're right. It could have been that. It could have been the difference in the tethering, the USDT tethering.
Yes, or it could have just gone up a bit.
Yeah. All right. Cool. So that's awesome. So that's actually a really good start. All right. So that just gets us our. So we got the ticker and we got the last trade rate. So that is that's cool. The next thing that we want to do is I think we want to subscribe to updates to that ticker. is what I think we want to do as well. Updates to that. So when the price changes, we want to update it. Let's see. Do we have anything like subscribe? Okay. Let's look this up. Over here, Bittrex, subscribe, Bittrex API, subscribe to ticker update maybe? Let's see if we get anything here. Let's search for subscribe on here. It's telling us we can do it, but it's not showing us the code to do that. Let's throw in the word C# inside of here, see if that's helpful at all. So we get something here. That's what we got in this space. Nope, that's not helping me. J Corp, I think, is the guy who is the author of the piece we just brought down. I'm not seeing Bittrex in here though. What's going on if I click that link? Where are you taking me? Okay. Examples. Subscribe to symbol ticker updates async. Okay, take a look at this. This is interesting. So they're actually using a different class instance than we are. They're using a Bittrex socket client. Maybe because I'm not sure why that is the case, but let's try that. Let's duplicate this and let's change this to a socket client. And we'll call the same thing. Do the same thing here. Call it Bittrex socket client. Do we need to pass it any parameters?
I wonder what's different about this than.
What'd you say?
I wonder what makes this different than just the Bittrex client.
Yeah, I'm not sure actually. Well, let's take a look at it and let's see if we can answer that question. So if we're down here, we've got get ticker, we've got get symbol summary, get symbols async, get symbols. Oh, I love this. So awesome, we can list out all the symbols. Get symbol trades. So let's see, that's what's in there. What's in this one? This is so interesting. Auto reconnect, base address, client name. This is for, I think, creating a persistent connection that we're talking through. That's what my guess is here. subscribe to balance updates async, subscribe to conditional order, execution updates, order updates, wow, there's a lot of stuff here. Symbol ticker updates async. I'm almost thinking this is it. This is the price change we want. What's the example say? Is it here? What is it? Subscribe to symbol ticker updates async. Is that what we got? Okay, good. What's the, okay, cool. So we're doing this, and then we've got some sort of code that we're going to execute. That's what this is. See the word data? That's the data coming in, and then we feed it to this block of code right here. And what's cool about it is that it's going to, whenever there's whenever there's any change here, it's going to then execute this line of code right here. And update last price comes in here. It just is, there's, see right there, it's got this string. It's assigning to the label out there, which is kind of similar to what we were doing, I think. All right, so what we're going to do is we'll copy that block of code. We'll get the subscription right. Put that down there. Okay, I see. I'm going to do this. SHUANEYE is out there saying, hey, how are you guys? Schwanye, is that how I pronounce it? I think we're good. We're moving over into, we're going to basically, we're going over to stocks today. So our goal is to pay for Campbell's, entire future, with a little bit of work.
Yeah.
We're going to do. And then I need this data piece at the end.
Not a little bit of work.
Not a little bit of work, a little bit more work. Okay, right there.
Substantial amount of work.
Okay, so we got the ticker here. We're getting the we're subscribing, and then we're gonna do something like this. And so the data. So notice, look, data's coming in here. There's no type with this. Shwani says, "I love your streams." Well, thank you so much. Shwani says, or sorry, the data. There's no type here, Campbell, but we don't need it because of the syntax here, because it knows the type that's coming in here. I think the data type is a Bittrex tick. I think if I'm understanding this correctly. And so what that means is that, well, I guess two things. One is I could come up here and I could use CodeRush to declare local, and yep, there it is. It's a Bittrex tick. See it like that? Mm-hmm. Secondarily, right here, there's more data here. Like the symbol is there.
Yeah.
There's an ask rate and a bid rate. So I think, now here's the thing. I don't know a lot about stocks.
I know less about stocks.
And Campbell knows less about stocks. But I think what's happening is an ask rate is, I think, when you want to sell, maybe?
No. I believe...
The lowest ask price, the lowest price that you are asking for. So I'm asking for it at this low price.
I think it's the lowest price that somebody is asking for. Or
well,
no,
yeah, isn't that funny? Because we've also got bid, the highest bid price.
Oh, so okay. So the highest bid price is the highest somebody's willing to pay for that stock, and ask rate is the lowest that somebody is willing to sell for.
Right, I agree.
Those
I totally agree with you. And then we've got the last trade rate.
Yeah.
So we can kind of get information about, the activity. One of the things that my observations about cryptocurrencies, it's incredibly volatile. But there's a lot of data here, and it might be possible to analyze the data to get a sense of what's going on with the general population in terms of, are they about to buy, are they about to sell, what's happening to a particular stock.
Yeah, because there are also like a ton of factors that go into do you want to sell or buy, but I think for right now what we're just going with, because it's the easiest in the code, is just if the price is going down and you have a stock, sell it. If the price is going up and you don't have a stock, or even if you do, buy another stock.
Right. Okay, so I've got the price, the last trade rate. I think I'll throw in the symbol as well, or maybe I'll just throw in I'll just send all of data over to it. We need a method. We don't have a method yet called update last price. This, by the way, actually kind of goes up with this right here. So this kind of updates it initially. Now, there's something going on that I should tell you about when you're coding. And that, for I don't know, I want to say about 20 years, machines have had the ability to execute code in more than one thread. So there's, and the idea is that each thread is essentially a processor working on doing its thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like your computer's not one computer, it's like 8 computers. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
There are 8 computers inside if you got 8 CPUs. Now, one of those CPUs or one of those threads is dedicated to keeping the display text, everything we see and present to the user, drawn. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the other threads is going to be listening into this ticker. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to listen in on the UI thread, the user interface thread. I'm going to listen in on a different thread. You're with me so far?
Yes.
Here's the problem. If I try to update the UI from a different thread, things can get messy. Does that make sense?
We don't like messy things.
We don't like messy things. The UI thread needs to update the UI. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to show you how we can move things from one thread to another so that they execute. So when we need to update the UI, we can do it. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead and declare update last price for me first. So right now, here's what's happening. Because we're subscribing async, and because it's happening on another thread, this line of code is going to be called on the wrong thread. Or, well, it'll be called on the right thread, but not the thread we need it to be ultimately. Okay, so go ahead and declare that method.
Oops, that's not where I want.
Yeah, I like to have my constructor up near the top. That's the constructor for the main window. So, no, not in there. You're not going to put it inside. You're definitely putting it outside, though. I want it outside of this method. I want it like down here is a good place, right down there. You can okay. So there's the data coming in. And at this point, we have,
Sorry?
yeah, you can delete that. Shift End is a great way to go get rid of that. Now, the essence of what we want to do, let's write the code, the essence of the code. Let's assume this was called on the UI thread. Well, the essence of the code we want to write here is essentially, it's that we want to go set the text property on that control we dropped out on the form. Remember the control?
Yeah.
It starts with TB. Why don't you write that line of code here?
To the stock price. Yeah, stock
Yeah,
price.
stock price, dot, and it'll be dot txt. Good job. Right up there. That's going to be equal to, and you're going to need an interpolated string here. And I want to make this flexible. Instead of saying it's BTC Bitcoin, I want it to tell me what the symbol is. And so I think there's a property in data called symbol, I think, is what I saw. And I bet
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, so let's do that. That symbol right down there. Good. And then something, and then the price. A little bit.
Okay, and then
Maybe a space or a colon or something like that.
what did I just do?
I did undo is what I did. Looks like it was duplicate line, maybe, I'm not sure.
Okay. What am I doing again? Oh yes.
You know, like up at the top we've got BTC colon. Let's see if they're on line 36 right up there. We could do something like that. So colon after the symbol maybe. And then here we want to put the price.
Yes. So, is it this?
No.
But
everything you need is going to be in data.
Is it just last trade rate?
Yes, it's that. That's exactly what it is. And I think you probably need a $sign in front of that. I think that's just gonna be a number. That's a decimal coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that. That's pretty good, I think. Now, if we run it just like this, I think we're gonna have an error. Let's go ahead and try running it like this. Let's save it and run. And I think we're gonna get an error. It's the error, the problem with it, we're modifying the UI from the wrong thread. Give it a second. I think we're going to see the error. There it is. The calling thread cannot access this object because a different thread owns it. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so take this line, cut it to the clipboard. You can close this down, stop the app if you want, because we need to make some changes. Shift F5 can stop it for you if you want. Shift F5 working for you to abort that?
Nope.
It might be because your function lock is engaged.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay.
I turned it off.
All right, so select line 46. Fastest way to select it is put the caret at the very beginning of the.
Oh, that's not what I wanted. Sorry.
Let me show you a couple tricks for fast selection, okay? One is home, shift N. Whoops, oh, I think you might have maybe hit another key at the same time. Is the control key down on your side? Tap your control key aside. Okay, shift N, like that. Another way is if you get to here and then shift down. See that? Try there, shift down from right there. See it? Now cut. Control X, cut it. All right, now let's expand a template. I think you got it on your machine. I think it comes with CodeRush called DI. You want to get to an empty line, so hit enter here, go up one, and type in DI. Oh, not there. We're going to get it on your machine. Give me a second here. We're going to switch over to my machine. There's my machine right there. CodeRush, go into templates. You'll find this template out there. Give me a second. Here. All right, so we're in templates. In the language, let's go to C#. And now type in DI. What am I not seeing? That's my problem? Okay. Interesting. All right, so declarations with the bottoms. Is this what I want? Huh. I'm expecting to see the actual templates below, but I'm not seeing them. I feel like, all right, we're going to do something different. We're going to switch back to your machine. I'll follow up on that later. What we want to get to is something like that looks like this. Something like dispatcher dot info like this. And then we pass in the callback for it. I think it's going to look like this. And then here, that I think is what it's going to look like. So dispatcher invoke. Dispatcher invoke will make sure this happens on the UI thread. Make sure the text is changed on the UI thread. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is the line of code, right? We got the error before. The reason why is because this is being called from a thread that does not own this. If I don't own that, I can't touch it. That's how threads keep data safe.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay, let's see if that works now. Let's do a run. Just start on there. Run it. And now let's look at it, see if it changes. What we're looking for is a change. We can also set a breakpoint. Oh, there. Did you see it? It just changed. Okay, cool. Let's go bring up the Google value for it. Let's see what it is. Now that we've got this updating, let's go find it. It's the second tab. Refresh it. Huh. Could be the USDT difference.
Could.
It could be. Let's go in. Hold on a second. Does this have USDT here? No.
Wait.
They have Bitcoin, but not the other pieces.
Sorry.
How
Wait,
to
can
change Bitcoin to USDT? No, I don't think it's there. But go change Bitcoin in the search to USDT. USDT. Not there. Not there. Hold on. The word Bitcoin to the left. I want Bitcoin in US dollars. Yeah, that. Change the word Bitcoin to USDT. Heather Price.
Oh, it's changed.
What's changed? Over here on the left?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So now we have data. Now to analyze the data, we need to hold on to the data over time. Right?
Yeah. So we would put it in a list or a dictionary.
Yeah. A dictionary, remember the difference between a dictionary and a list. Do you have a sense? Can you describe those two?
No, not really.
Okay, let's think about it in real life terms. Let's say you had a shopping list.
Yeah,
And
a
let's
list
say-
just gives a list of, it's just a bunch of items
Right. And let's say-
consecutively
Right.
listed, I guess. And
Consecutive.
a dictionary gives a list of, or a bunch of things with their definitions.
Right, and so let's say you had a physical dictionary, right? Or a dictionary. Have you ever seen a physical dictionary now that I think about it?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you've got a grocery list, you can walk into the store, and you've got a dictionary so you can, look up items. If you want to look up an item on your dictionary, how do you do it?
You figure out what the first letter is and then
Yeah.
come to that page.
Okay, so you can get to it pretty quickly, right? If you want to look up an item on your list, your shopping list, how do you do it?
You look through the list and until you see it.
You look at each one until you find it.
Yeah.
Right? If you're able to skip by thousands of entries with the dictionary, if you know what letter it starts with.
That's true.
The dictionary supports lookup. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's got lookup abilities, and that's what's valuable about the dictionary. So, if
So
we're
why
gonna
don't we just always use dictionaries?
Why don't we always use them?
Yeah.
Because there's a little extra overhead, and it's a little harder to use them as a list, whereas a list is much easier to use as a list. Does that make sense? Also, there's a lot of times where it doesn't make sense to use lookup. For example, if I'm looking up definitions of words, it makes sense because I just use the word. That's my key. Right?
Yeah.
If I'm looking up photos of people's homes, I just might use their address as the key.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Or if I'm looking at photos of people, I just use their names as the key. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But if I'm recording data over time, I don't really have a good key that differentiates the price at this moment and the price at the next time it changes.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Got it.
So a dictionary, the reason we wouldn't use a dictionary here is because there's just nothing to look up, right? Now,
Yeah.
let's say we store it in a list, though, and let's say we have a list of all the prices for Bitcoin, and we have another list of all the prices for Ethereum.
Mm-hmm.
You with me on that?
Yeah.
Maybe
Yes.
in that case now we use a dictionary to do lookup for Ethereum or for Bitcoin. Does that make sense? We have the name of the stock ticker,
Yeah.
the name of the cryptocurrency, its symbol. We use it as its lookup to get all of that data. And then the data, so that's where we use a dictionary and a list. A bunch of lists actually. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we need to start saving this data as it comes in. I think we store it in a list. That's what I think we do.
Yep. That makes sense.
And I think we do two things with the data. I think we need more data than what's here. I think we need one more piece of information. If we look at this code, at this, what's in the Bittrex tick, we've got last trade rate, we've got its symbol. So we look at the properties. We've got these two. Let me do this so you don't miss the properties. We've got the ask rate, bid rate, and the last trade rate, and the symbol. That's all we have. But we're missing an important piece of data, and that is the time. Okay, does that make sense? We're missing the time. All right, so we need to get the time that this occurred, because when the change occurs to it, it may be like, you know, maybe a long time ago, or it could be a second ago. Does that make sense?
True.
And if we're going to graph it out, we want to graph it out across time. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Your eyes itchy? Do you want to take a break and get some?
They're itchy.
What'd you say?
I'm okay with that.
Do
That's
you need a
it.
break to wash your face or get some eye drops in there?
Alright, I will.
You gonna do that now, or you gonna wait till?
No, if it gets worse.
It exceeds certain threshold. Okay. So dispatcher invoke. Now dispatcher invoke, by the way, is really useful. You don't have to create the template right now on your machine. So I'm going to copy that. I think I can right click and choose create template. Is that correct? Selection of template. See that?
Yeah.
We'll take that. And what options around links? No, I don't need any links on this really. Text field. The first element in all links. We don't need any links. We'll say next. And where we can put it. Template's custom, like that. The template name is going to be DI. That, we're going to say OK. Now we're going to go into bringing it up so we can have it full. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to get rid of this. And we're going to say, okay, right in here, I'm going to put the caret right there. Okay?
Yeah.
So now when we type in DI, we'll also, for context, we'll say on empty line. Actually, encode block. There it is right there. Encode block. And we get this button again. We say on empty line. Like that. So encode block means not in a string, right? Just in a method somewhere.
Yes. And also just
Right.
on an empty line.
So now we're going to say OK on that. And now what's cool is we should be able to come here and type in DI in the future. And then we just paste in the code that we want right there.
Yes.
Make sense? Okay, good. All right, so we're making sure the text changes on the right thread. We need the time. We need to store both together. So we need to create a new class. So I just copied Bittrex text to the clipboard. What I want you to do here is create a new class for me. Do you remember the shortcut for doing that in CodeRush?
I would assume just.
There you go. You're done. Okay, so we're gonna call this like a data point or stock data point, maybe. Stock data point. Good. And I want to create an auto-implemented property here. So A for auto-implemented property, and then I want to use the slash key above the other key to do
for
paste.
the paste.
Yeah, there you go, right there. That will do the paste, and then space. I'll get that for you. And we're gonna just call this the tick, maybe. Like that, and then hit enter, and then I want you to give me an.
Oops, sorry.
Actually, you know what I want to do? Let's do this. Yeah, go down the next line, type in CC, and then check this checkbox with space. Just toggle with the space bar. Space bar is faster, and then hit enter. And now look what it did. It built a constructor for you that initializes that auto-implemented property. See it?
Yeah.
Now what I want you to do is inside this, you can hit enter here if you want. But inside, after line 26, I want to create a new line of code that says time equals, so uppercase time, uppercase T, I mean. I want to say time equals, and then there's a CodeRush template after you type in equals in the space. Oh, you know, let me just grab this
sorry.
here. Real quickly, remember how you do camel case navigation and selection?
It's Alt, right?
Alt Shift.
Oh, sorry. Alt
Get the
Shift.
selection, yeah. Alt and left arrow.
I
So
thought you just
quickly get that, get rid of it. That was IntelliSense trying to suggest what
Oh,
you
I didn't
wanted.
even see that.
And then now type in DTN for date, time, now.
DTM,
N
date time
for
now.
now.
N.
Yeah, DTN. And that's the CodeRush template that spits out that. And then semicolon. Then hit the home key to get on the word time. And I want you to declare that as an auto-implemented property. What's cool about this is now when we create this, just hit coder's key. And then there should be a declare and auto-implemented property. There you go. Okay? Now what's cool about this, Campbell, is all we have to do is create one of these, and when we create it, it says, okay, you know what, I know when the time is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Okay, so that's our stock data point. Can you move that to its own file?
Move time to file.
Nice. Hit escape to jump back. Now what we want to do is we want to have a list of those stock data points. I'm not sure if that's on the clipboard or not. Can you copy that? Copy that on the clipboard then. Make sure you got that copied. So back in my main, I want to do the main window. Hold on. I don't want to do it on my main window. I mean, we could. Here's the thing, right, Campbell? You're like building an app. You've got a main window here. It's an easy place to put the data. But what happens is, like, notice already, look what we've got. We've got in our main window, we've got a Bittrex client, we've got a Bittrex socket client. Our main window is getting stuff in it that maybe is not what we want to put inside the main window. The reason why is the main window is really about the user interface. And these things are kind of, so look, we're exploring, it's okay to kind of make mistakes when you explore, or maybe not even make mistakes, but it's okay to maybe not think about the design of the app while you explore. Did you hit that threshold?
Yeah, I think so.
You did? Alright. I'll let Campbell go do that. We'll do a be right back, and we'll be back.
Okay.
Apologies for the extra noise there. Campbell is back.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess what I'm saying is the more stuff we stick in here, the messier this is going to get.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It's kind of like saying, you know what, I want to build cars, custom cars. So instead of doing that out of my garage, I'm going to do it out of my living room. Right? And so now we've got all of this equipment in the house, in the living room, and maybe in the kitchen now. We're working on cars. We've got our tools, we've got that thing that lifts them up, the hydraulic lift. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So what's happening is we're getting this, there's this kind of clutter and mess that's occurring in our main window. And we kind of want to be aware of that and thinking about that while we build. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You can, well, all right, so for now I'm going to leave these three things here, but it's kind of a code smell. And a code smell is something that kind of doesn't quite feel right and maybe deserves some scrutiny. So we can look at it and ask the question, is there a better place for this code? Okay?
Yeah.
Good? All right, good. Okay, so now, update last price. This is when it changes. This is what we need to add to the list. So we could put the list here, but if I put that list here, the smell's getting greater. Okay? Is it on the clipboard still? Stock data point, it is. So let's do this. Let's suffer a bit with the smell getting bad.
Will it affect the code too much though?
No, but it affects our ability to maintain the code and read the code.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So we're gonna let it get a little stinky, and then maybe we'll spend the last part of the show fixing it, cleaning it up. Does that feel good?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I find often if I say, hey, don't do this, but without actually us suffering a little bit, then it doesn't retain as well. The message doesn't retain as well. So I want to create a new list of the thing that's on the clipboard. So to do this, the template is N for new, L for list, and because it's a generic list,
sorry, I accidentally put some codes.
NL, it's a dot. Because it's generic, any generic encoder template. And then wait, go back. Undo. And then now do the slash above that's above the interview face. There you go. And that gets it for you there. And new list of NL dot slash, okay?
Yeah.
And we'll call this,
stock data points?
Yeah, I guess we call that. Let's do stock data points. There it is. Look what the suggestion at the top. So all you have to do is down arrow and then you select it. Shift, control space. There you go. Good job. Those are stock data points. Okay, cool. Got a new instance of that. Copy that to the clipboard if you haven't already. What?
I just did.
Okay. Now, right in here, we want to add a new entry to the list. So, do you know how to do that with a list? Do you know how to add entries to a list?
I don't know.
Okay, so let's paste the list down first. Paste what's on the clipboard. Type in dot. And see if there's anything in IntelliSense that can tell you how to add an entry to the list. Go for it. Okay.
Is it a method?
And now he wants a new stock data point. So you've got to create a new one. So type in the word new, space. Now it's going to suggest stock data point because it knows what the type needs to come in. Open paren. Because you're creating something new. You got to. It's like a method called a constructor. And now it needs. There's two. Look right here at the end of my fingertip. One of two. See that?
Yeah.
Stock data point right there. If you click on the mouse on that, remember we just created
tick.
It takes a tick. Look at the data type coming in up above. See the parameters?
Yes.
Up above. I'm talking above. I can't quite. My finger just appears as I go up there.
I see it.
So what are we passing in there?
Data and then dot tick, right?
No, it's just data. See the type of data? What's the type of data?
Oh, right. It's a Bittrex, right?
Yeah, Bittrex tick, right? And so what's the type that's needed here? It's
a Bittrex
right there. It's a Bittrex tick, so it's already the right piece of data. Now, where's it going to? It's underneath there. Hit a semicolon to get to a coder at the end of the line terminator. We need the time. I wrote that comment down. Do we need the time now?
No, because we already are. We're getting the time up here.
So we need this other file.
Here.
Right there, the line 14. In the constructor, if we pass in a constructor, it sets the time automatically.
Yeah, so we don't need to add time.
Right. Okay, good. So now this, by the way, see this?
Yeah.
I wonder if we can put it there without an error. Because it's not UI.
I guess.
Let's see if we can. Let's run it and see if we get an error.
I think we can. But
I'm
not
thinking it'll
sure.
work. And I think if we watch this change, we see it change? Okay, there, it looks like that changed. Yeah, so no error. That indicates that code is okay, it does not have to be invoked. Looking for another change, waiting for one.
Yeah.
The fact that the label change indicated that's totally what we...
Yeah, but I still just want to make sure everything else is working.
Okay?
Yeah.
Cool, so we still have the stock change. Now we're collecting the data points. Next we need to do something with the data points.
Yeah.
And we need to draw them. So now we're kind of going back to XAML. So click on the XAML up there, the right tab, the one right above my finger, right up there. And we need like we need a canvas to draw on.
Okie dokie.
But we need you can't put it here though. And the reason why is you see lines 9 and 11? See that?
Yeah.
9 and 11? Those are the child of the window. The window can only have one child. If we were to come in here and let's put a canvas in here,
We wouldn't be able to.
yeah, we wouldn't be able to. Canvas, there it is, right there. Should have trouble typing today, my fingers aren't quite lined up. At this point, we should have some sort of error. There, you can see it there.
Yeah.
The property
Content.
is set more than once. What that means is there's this default property that if I put a child component in it, it'll set it to the default property. The default property for a window is content, and it can only have one child.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So what that means is we need to stick the canvas in the grid. That's one way to solve it. Right there, that should solve it. The problem is a grid generally is divided up like a table. You say how many rows or columns it has. This one has none, meaning it has only one cell, which means this canvas is going to be right behind this guy. Now what I like to do, you've seen me do this before, is I don't actually like using a grid. I like using something else called stack panel. I'm just type in SP and a comma there, stack panel, orientation, make it vertical, like that, and then paste these pieces back in. And now this canvas is going to be underneath. I'm going to give this canvas a name because I think I might need to work with it. And I like to use the abbreviation CVS for canvases. And so we're going to say canvas.
I like Walgreens a bit more.
Name? Really? Okay, fine. Fine. You can tell jokes like that? Tell jokes like that on my show? Okay. So there's our canvas. Now, we haven't really given this any thought at all. But we've got some data now.
Yeah.
And this next part's kind of a little bit complicated. We want to put the data points
Complicated, but I feel like what we need to do, once we get over like a certain hurdle, it will be simply complicated.
Simply complicated?
Like, we'll know what we need to do. It will the complicated part will just be figuring out what code to write.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. It'll all work out at the end. So here's my canvas down here.
I can say that.
And I think what I want to do, let's do something like this. The best way to do this is just do a simple. Just do things simply, right?
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to say, okay, let's go to my canvas. Oh, guess what? I'm manipulating my UI. Should it be up here or should it be in here? Down inside.
Yeah, it should be down here.
Right, why?
Because in the dispatcher invoke, dispatcher.invoke, you can access, the UI and change
it's a
it.
UI. What happens is it says, hey, this code, I'm going to switch it over to the UI thread. The UI thread owns everything on the form. And so now we can make those changes. So see this name, children.add. I'm going to add a child. And the child I'm going to add is going to make a new ellipse, like this.
So,
yeah.
If you have a child of something that is a child, okay, never mind.
Of something else?
So, you know how you said the content can only have one child?
Yes.
But its children can have more than one child.
Right. The control decides whether it can only have one child or if it can have many children.
Yes.
The control gets to decide that. So the window decides it only has one child. And so it's called content. But a canvas decides, when I say decides, meaning the person who wrote the canvas said, okay, I'm going to allow it to have many children. So it's going to have a children property. Does that make sense? All right, so I'm creating a new ellipse, and I just want to do a couple things here. I'm going to say fill is equal to, you created a template for me, NSV, good job. Look at that great template you created. I'm going to put a red circle out there is what I'm going to do.
We need to make it so that it's not ellipsy. and not incredibly small.
Yeah, I'll say width is equal to maybe 10. Height is equal to 10. Like that. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to take this new ellipse. I'm using the selection increase. I'm doing code rush key. I'm going to choose introduce local. We're going to call this dot. Okay?
Yeah.
There's my dot.
Maybe no.
And then I want to set its X and Y position. I can use this using property setters on, these are attached properties. They're not actually a property of ellipses, but rather it's using a dictionary owned by the Canvas class itself. It's a method on the class.
Yeah.
So I don't even need an instance of Canvas. I just call it set left. And what it does is it's got a static dictionary that's going to hook up my dot with this position I want it to be at.
You said I don't even need an instance of Canvas. And when I think you meant I don't even need an instance of the ellipse.
No, I do need an instance of the ellipse, and I don't need an instance of Canvas. I actually meant what I said. So listen to this. Canvas.setLeft. This is a static method on the class. So remember, the class is like the cookie cutter, but I can stick data in the cookie cutter if I want. And so the Canvas has a dictionary inside of it, not the instance, but the whole class. Canvas has a dictionary for all the controls in all the canvases. And I index it by the actual instance. This dot is going to be unique from any other dot I knew up, from any other ellipse I knew up. Everyone will be unique. I can use an object as an indexer into the class.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And then so the class, I'm sorry, into the dictionary of the class. That's what I meant. That's what should be making sense. And so now the value of the left, I need to just pass this in. So let's do one other thing. Let's do this. For everyone we do, we're just going to kind of move it to the right. So I'm going to come in and we're going to create a new variable called it's going to be type double called left position, like that. Set it equal to 0 for right now. And then down here we're going to say, let's do one more thing. Let's go in here, so we can put a constant for this. Dot diameter, like that. So let's take this and put it here. And then we're going to say, we're going to go to the other piece that we have, which is left position, we're going to say plus equals dot diameter. So every time we get a new one, we're just going to add a dot. All we're doing is adding dots across the canvas. Does that make sense? So set left, we're going to do that. Okay? We're not going to change its top is going to be 0. And let's just see what that does. Okay? And then we're going to run for me on that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to give me a bunch of dots, and every time it updates, we'll see a new dot. You should see a dot there. There's 1, 2. Sweet.
Okay, now we just need to move them into the right position. Yeah, and it's changing depending on the time.
Well, nothing. Notice the updates are not coming in at a regular beat. Does that make sense? That's the nature of when you're talking to a server. I'm sorry, go ahead. What do you want to say?
Well, yeah, because it stops. It's not going to be a constant.
Right, it could be changing. It could also be because of the internet, all of this. So we don't know that they're going to be coming in at a regular beat. So we're not going to actually want them the same distance apart. The distance apart is going to be
based off of how much time is between.
Right, we're going to use time for the X. And what are we going to use for Y?
Value.
The value, exactly. And so that's what we're going to do next. Okay.
So the only reason we're making this graph is so that we can understand what's happening, right?
Sure. Yeah. We don't have to do this. We can back up and run away and do something else.
No. I like it because now we can understand what's happening while the computer,
Right.
Blah.
Now, if we're going to use, all right, let's maybe start next with time. Should we do that? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So now, and now we start getting into so actually let's hold on a second. I want to talk about this. What's happening right now with those dots?
Each time it updates, they're coming in.
Right.
And they're going after the next dot because they came after it. fast
Right.
ago.
And so far, every time an update occurs, we see indication of that,
Yes.
right? What's going to happen soon?
When it gets off of the screen,
Yeah,
I think we're gonna. I'm not sure actually.
we're probably not going to see an indication of it. We'll probably have to resize. There you go. You have to do that. Then what happens when this gets off the screen?
It's just we're never gonna see it again.
Right. So this idea
But-
is. Go ahead.
I think one way that we should do this is we should move the graph once this happens, because we don't want to see stuff from 5 years ago. We don't always want to see that graph.
Right. We only want, in general, especially when you're talking about predicting changes, the data that's closest to now is generally more valuable
Yeah.
than the data that's
So we should
farthest
put it
from now.
in the center, on the X.
Say that one more time.
We should put it in the center.
Put what in the center?
The dot that is the
represents
last
now?
dot. Yes.
Oh, and then we just kind of push them off the side?
And also up, because if the value is all the way up here and we can't, or past the screen and we can't see it, that's not good. Or if it's below the screen, then
Right now I'm just focusing on time, though.
Yes.
I'm focusing on time and dots. And one of the truths that comes out of this, I think, Campbell, is that you don't, even though you have the ability to collect a vast amount of data, you don't really want all of the data.
no.
And at some point you want to decide, just how much data do I really want to look at, right? And I think, from my standpoint, I think we want to, I guess for the show, we might say, you know what, let's limit it to only the last minute. If the data's over a minute old, we'll get rid of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in fact, I'm about, let's start maybe, I think it's time to switch over to PowerPoint, create a new slide here, a new spec is what I think we want to do. You want to switch over to my machine? Can you do that?
No, my stream deck is not.
Okay, no worries, I'm switching over here. All right, so we're going to create this is our spec for our stock analysis. And we're just going to talk about what we want to do here. So we want to trim the data, or maybe I'll just say we want to, like this, and then come down in here and we're going to say trim the data.
Mm-hmm.
And then, maybe to the last minute only. Okay? Now, hold on, let's come up here. Bring a new slide well before this. Challenges, or maybe characteristics. We're going to write down the word challenges / characteristics of the data we're analyzing. Okay? Let me just say characteristics of the data we're analyzing. So one of the characteristics is we have a variable amount of data points. Could be 0, could be 1, right? Could be, a massive amount, right? As we're getting it, right? If we just start the app, we're at 0, we get our first one, okay, good. And if we run for a long time, we have a massive amount. So another characteristic of the data point is no clear boundaries for a high or low price. With the exception of, 0 is the low.
Yeah.
Right? But there's no upper boundary.
No.
Bitcoin is at $36,000. But there are other cryptocurrencies out there that are only worth like a penny. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And if we use the same scale to show both of them, anything that's a penny would just be a flat line at the bottom, even if it might be going up and down. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So the implication is that we need to set the upper and lower bounds of price, for the price, the value, right? The price to the highest, lowest in the range. Now, does this make sense what I'm saying here? So we're going to trim the data to only the last minute. Then we're going to check the data to see what's the highest price and the lowest price. You with me?
Yeah.
Then we're going to decide what position to put it in based on what its price is in that range. And we're going to show what the range is. We're going to mark it somehow. Does that make sense? We're going to put a label near the dip, you know, and another label near the peak that shows us what the value is. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. If we only have one data point, I'm not sure we even do a chart. If we get to 2, then maybe we chart it. Do we chart it here? I'm not sure if we have 1. In other words, if we just draw 1 point on there and put its value and say it's both a high or a low. Or do we have a special value? I'm not sure. The reason I'm not sure about this, Campbell, is because this state only lasts a few moments, it seems.
I think we should chart it.
Yes? Okay.
Because it could last for a longer amount of time, depending on what cryptocurrency it is or what thing stock it is.
I agree. All right, cool. We'll do it. So we're going to chart at 1 or 2. Or
Not
more.
at 0.
And we're going to prevent this, you know, we're going to trim by time. So somewhere in there we're going to say, okay, here's when we're going to trim it, okay? We're going to set, because we have no clear boundaries, let's see. So we want to chart even when there is only one data point.
Yes.
Okay, and we want to, also we want to set the left and right range to what? Does this make sense to you what I'm asking you?
Yeah.
What's the left range? Set the left range to the what?
To the data point from a minute ago.
Right, basically like the earliest, or the oldest rather, the oldest
that hasn't been deleted.
Data point, right?
That hasn't been deleted.
Right, well if it's deleted we won't have it as a data point anymore.
It's true.
So I'm just going to say to the oldest data point. Okay, cool.
And the right range to, you know, the newest.
Set the right range to the newest. We can also set it to now as well. But
then we would not have.
If we didn't get an update, it would just kind of go the line that would go across. Newest data point, or maybe now, I don't know. I mean, we'll say newest data point.
Yeah, I think newest data point.
If we say newest data point, then we need to label it. To label the newest data point time on the right. Does that make sense? In other words, we're showing the x-axis goes from one time to another time.
Yeah.
The minute ago time or whatever that is. It is possible, if we're trimming the data, that we remove all data from the list. How is this possible? Well, if we don't get a new update in a minute, all that data is old and is gone.
Yeah.
I think we still, maybe we don't remove all data, we just remove everything but one. In other words, our method to delete data from the list is going to say, okay, let's find all the old stuff and get rid of it, but only up to the last one. In other words, if there's one entry remaining, we don't even check it to see if it's old or not, we keep it.
Yeah.
What do you think? It's just a little too much.
No.
Let's put it in our heads.
No, I think it's okay.
All right, here's what I propose we do. I propose the first step we do is we look only at time and we get these red dots at the right places
Yes.
on time. And maybe, and just work at one axis at a time. Or alternatively, we can only do price. If you want to do price, I'm happy to do price too.
Let's do price first, actually, I think.
You want to do price?
Because then we can just get a sense of what it is.
Okay. If we do price, every time we get a new value, we need to check the upper and lower bounds.
Yes.
If we've already dropped pieces out there at this position and our upper and lower bounds change, right, in some way, those dots are also going to need to readjust.
Yes.
You agree with that?
Yes.
Right? Something used to be the high, now if I go higher than that, it will be low, so we'll need to drop it down a bit.
Yes.
That means anything we add, if we go back to your code, any dots we add, we're going to need to track somehow.
Yeah, we can add them to a dictionary or a list.
Yes, we can. And I think we add them to a dictionary.
Or a stack panel.
No, I think we add them to a dictionary. The dictionary is
Yeah.
indexed by this guy right here. The stock data point is going to connect to this guy.
Yeah.
And what that means is we need to declare a new variable for that guy. Can you select that view selection increase and then hit the coder key to declare a new local for that?
Oops.
Yep, that's
Yep.
good. One more. You need the new in there to get it. There you go. Now you
Such.
can replace that with a variable. Just do the name, stock data point probably.
Yeah.
Look for the suggestions and try it. No, I thought it was going to be yeah. We copy that to maybe not. All right, so that's step one. So we need to do a connection of the two. Is what we need to do. We can also hard code the upper and the above the top and bottom limits as well.
Yeah.
For now, and then adjust them later, because we're trying to simplify this a bit at a time, right? We know the price of Bitcoin is about $36,000,
Yes.
right? So what we can do is set high and low. So I'm going to come here and say high is equal to, we'll say $37,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to say low is equal to 35. Is it 35? No, it's 36. Let's say 36,600. So we're going to get right in about $400. Okay, you get a real tight range in there, so we can make some stuff. There's my high and low. Now, we've set its left position, but we've not set its top position. Okay? And here's where we need to figure this usage calculation. Create this right there to the local top position. And the top position is going to be equal to, a little tricky here to figure this whole thing out, but let's kind of first do it based on, we're going to say, we'll say it's equal to the data's price last trade rate. The last trade rate minus the low.
Yeah.
Oh, this is decimal. Hold on. Let's change these to both decimals too. Okay. All right. If we do just this trade rate minus the low, this tells us how much above the low it is. What I want to do is I'm going to break this down and do this piece at a time here. So amount above the low. Okay, are you good with that so far? Yes?
Yes.
We create a new decimal here that's going to be called distance, or maybe chart height. And this is actually going to be in dollars. Chart height in dollars. Okay, you with me on that?
Yeah.
And what's that equal to? What's the expression here? Look at line 46 and 47. Those are your clues.
Oh, wait. Decimal high, or high, I guess. Right?
Say again, what is it? What's the chart height?
High.
Not quite.
Oh, high. High minus low.
There you go, perfect. Good job. Chart height in dollars is high minus low. It's about $400 in this example,
Yes.
right? Okay, now, next I want to create a new decimal. We call this percent.
That's a double.
Let's say percent of height, percent of chart height,
Yes.
and that's going to be equal to, it has to do with the last two variables we declared on lines 59 and 60.
Yes. So
Percent of chart height is what?
I actually don't know.
Well, to do a percent, what operator would I use?
Divided by 10.
Oh, good.
Division.
So I'm going to use a divide. So you're actually getting really close. What goes on the top and what goes on the bottom?
Chart height dollars
Chart height dollars goes on the top or bottom?
on the top.
Chart height dollars divided by,
I would assume amount above below.
okay. So if my amount is 50% and my chart height dollars is $1, then that's going to equal to 2. Percent of chart height is going to be 200%.
Yeah, so it's just 100. Because percentage.
Hold on, I want to give you an example of this. Yeah, take a look at this.
Or is it just flipped?
Let's say that it's, yeah, the answer is split. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I do love that not only when pudding comes in, you know, it doesn't get fanfare, but it's also sponsored by pudding, and we get to eat some pudding every time. I
Yeah.
like that. How you doing, pudding? Welcome. Okay, so so amount above the low. So let's say that's equal to 50%. In other words, we found a value that's 50% of its way up the top. It's 50%, which is equal to 0.5. Okay, with me so far?
Yeah.
And let's now say, that the chart height in dollars is equal to $2. Okay, so say it's equal to $2. So for 50% above the low, right, the chart height is $2, right? Then the percent of the overall, or I'm sorry, hold on, amount above the low. Sorry, not. Sorry. It's $1. So we're $1 above the low. The chart height is $2. How far up? What's the percent above? The percent of the chart height is equal to what? What are we expecting it to be?
50%.
0.5. So
Or
now let's look-
50%.
What'd you say?
Or 50%.
Right, which is also equal to 50%. That's what we want to do. If you're having a bad day, have some pudding, says Pudding. If you're having a good day, you probably already had pudding. All right, with me?
Yes.
You're with me on this.
Yes.
All right, so let's look at this. Chart height in dollars is 2. 2 divided by 1, amount above the low, is equal to 2. That's not equal to 0.5. See that?
Yeah.
So we want to switch these two. We switch these two and watch what happens. Right? We get the percent right. We always take essentially our small or variable number divided by our big unvariable number, and generally what's happening. Does that make sense? If I want to say what is this percent of that, right? The divide is going to be the that. In other words, if I say what's this percent of chart height in dollars, that's going to be our denominator.
Yeah.
Whatever ends the sentence is going to end the equation. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So percent of chart height is now coming in here. Now we've got a percent. Okay. So now, though, it's the percent now. So we're going to next we need to say we need another decimal distance from bottom, because the bottom is going to be the low, right? Distance from bottom is equal to what? It's going to have something to do with this, and it's going to have something to do with, it's going to have to do with this and this. You're going to need chart height in dollars, and you're going to need percent of chart height to get distance from bottom.
Yeah. So, all right.
It's okay to be like,
Isn't
you
it-
know what, Dad? It's like, you've been throwing too much of this at me. Let's write down the two things we need.
Well,
We need
About-
percent of chart height, and we need chart height in dollars. These two variables, I need to use both of these to calculate the distance from the bottom of the chart.
oh, right. Okay. So it's chart height dollars minus percentage of chart height or percent of chart.
Let's see if that works. Percentage of
That's
chart height, let's look at our values,
probably
right? So our chart height in dollars is 2. Our percentage of chart height hold on, I think I guided you in the wrong way. It's not actually going to be chart height in dollars. What we need is chart height in essentially pixels. That's what we need. I want you to think about what this equation is right here. What's that? We need chart height in pixels. I'm going to get chart height in pixels for you. How am I going to do that?
I don't know.
No, I'm asking myself, not asking you. I want you to think about this equation now. If I have a percentage of chart height and I have a chart height in pixels, let's say my chart height in pixels is equal to let's say it's equal to 400, maybe 500, 500 px. Okay? Chart height in pixels is equal to 500 px. Right? What's my distance from the bottom in pixels? Using these two numbers. Do you see it?
Yeah. It's chart height in pixels minus percent of chart height, right?
All right, let's look. Yeah, that's where you're going. But let me show you where that leads with an example. So take a look at that. The minus isn't going to work. And the reason why is because percentage is going to be like a number between 0 and 1. Chart height in pixels, that means this number is always going to be.
Oh, minus percent of chart height times chart height pixels.
Yeah, you're really, really close. But I'm saying distance from bottom, not from top. You're headed towards the top, I think. And I want to get from the distance from the bottom. Because this is my percent of chart height. This is from the bottom as well. This is because we use amount above the low. Right there. That's amount above the bottom. You following me or no?
No.
Yeah, there's a lot. Let's take a break for a second. Just breathe in, relax. Let's talk about your favorite ride. You said your favorite ride. The favorite part was the G-forces at Disney. What was
Yes.
your favorite ride?
Probably the rock and roller coaster.
Yeah, you went on that with your mom without me, didn't you?
Yes, it would have. Yeah.
And
So
and your favorite parts about the ride were what?
it was a roller coaster, pitch black, except for like every once in a while something like from a concert or a famous band album would pop up in front of you in like neon or something or glow in the dark.
Would it be scary?
No, not really scary, but it was just fun. And also while you were on the ride, music was like rock music was blasting in your ears.
Everywhere you went.
Yeah,
And
and
did the music change and the songs change as you went through it?
yeah, it did a couple of times, and it was very fun.
And so that you could hear it and they could control it so other people could hear different things. Was the sound coming right out of the ride you're riding?
Yeah, on the cart, it was like the headrest was here and there were speakers in it.
Nice. That's cool. All right, brain in a
Yes.
relaxed state. All right. So here, I'll guide us through this here. No worries on this. So distance from bottom. Here's what we need. So we've used. So this is the percent of chart height. I'm going to rename this guy right here from bottom. Right? Because we're kind of doing this whole thing. So we take amount above the low, or also amount above bottom. Is what we could do. Right here, right there. Divided by the chart height in dollars. That's going to give us a percent of chart height from bottom. Now, let's say we know the chart height in pixels is 500. Well, if we're up 50%, 50% of 500, right, is going to be 250 pixels. That's where we want to be.
Yeah.
And we want to do an
Okay.
operator times right there is what we're looking for there. Now, the minus that you're intuitively going for comes into play next. because this is the distance from the bottom. Distance from the bottom doesn't help because we need to set the top. So we want one more in here, so we're gonna come down here. So distance from top in pixels is equal to, and now you need chart height in pixels minus distance from bottom in pixels. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna just create a, we wanna be really simple here, right? When we keep things simple, I'm gonna come in here and say this is 500. I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna force it to 500 by coming in here and say height equal to 500. Okay? And we're gonna make the height of this whole thing be like about 600. Okay. Okay, now let's look back at the code. So the top position needs to be a double. And we're going to set the top position equal to the bottom pixels. So this should be double right there. And we're going to need to probably jump in and do double. Go back there now, we just have to test this to double. Right there. This is going to be a double. Which means I don't need this type casting here anymore. Which means I cast here instead. And then now we don't need the top position anymore. Distance from top 10 pixels. Put it there. There's a shot this will work. We got a chance.
Yeah.
So now we're looking for the dots are still going to be back to back. Oh, we're not seeing dots at all. So that means something's wrong.
Good at
So what
all.
we're going to do is set a breakpoint and step through it. So
Wait, I want to see something. Sorry. Can we go back to here? Nope, that's not what
We'll be able to move it to sort of breakpoint. So you
Okay.
do the breakpoint,
Clear.
run, and now you can take a look at it.
Ah. No. I thought maybe it was.
Just a breakpoint.
Oops,
Then we'll just wait for it. All right, cool. So let's just hit F10 to step through and see what happens. So mount above the bottom. Okay, hold on. Already, we've got a problem. Oh, look. See the last trade rate? It's dropped in price about $300. What's our bottom? See it? It could be correctly putting it down below. See, our lowest, we said our lowest point is 36,600. It's already at 35,700.
Yeah.
It's below our chart. So let's stop it a second. Let's readjust this. Let's change this. This is why we don't want to hard code this, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But let's try again. And we'll clear the breakpoint and see if we see any dots. Do we see a dot? Hold on, it hasn't updated yet. We do. We see a dot. We see another one. There we go. Look at that. See it going up?
Yeah. Some of the updates it just stays the same or stays so similar that it barely makes a difference.
Well, that also
so
has
maybe
to do,
we don't chart those.
Well, but imagine though, look, we've got a hard-coded top and bottom. What if we automatically figured it out based on all the data we got? Then you'd see things go from the bottom to the top.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And the difference would be
What is it?
greater. And there would actually be a difference
Yeah, there's a big difference.
between each of those dots.
All right, you want to set the top and bottom based on what we have?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yes. We also have to figure out how to get from chart height in dollars to chart height in pixels. We still haven't
I
done
think
that.
we're kind of doing that already. What we're not doing though is changing the height, the chart height in pixels when the window resizes. We're just setting it flat out to 500. Does that make sense? Yeah. You want to stop the show? We can have the show. We can have the show if you want.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of, there was a lot of intense concentration, right? Trying to get to this point right here. You can stop the show if you want. You can also go back and say, All right, let's get the, it's actually not too hard to change the upper and lower limits to be correct. You just simply iterate through the list and find them.
Find the highest.
Yeah. You want to do that? I'll leave that. You won't have to do anything.
Yeah, let's do that.
What'd you say?
Let's do that.
Okay, let's do that and then we'll get out. Alright. Where's my mouse? No.
It's on, wait, wrong monitor.
There you go. Okay, cool. Alright, so we wanted to figure all of that out. Well, we've got our stock data points now. We haven't been doing anything with our stock data points. Now what I want to do is I want to call a method that says calculate high and low. Good with that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to use our stock data points, which it already knows about, so I don't need to pass it in as a parameter. It's already a field variable. So we'll go into your stock data points, for each on that. And then basically I want to say something like this. I want to create, I think I want to use these variables, high and low already. I'm going to say, look, high is equal to 0. I'm going to set high to the opposite side of things. I'm going to say low, set it to the opposite side. It's a decimal. And I'm going to say set it equal to max value. Then I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, hey, if low is less than stock data point dot tick dot last trade rate. You see that?
Yeah.
So if the low is less than, I'm sorry, that's not quite what I want. If the last trade rate is less than our low, then I would say, hey, my low is equal to this new low that I just got found. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And because I've set it to max value, any value here will be less than it. So the first time I get through it, if there's at least one data point, low will be set.
Yeah.
Okay? Then I want to do something similar here. If this is greater than my high, and since high is 0, any non-zero value, if the stock price can't be negative,
Yeah.
anything
Well,
will,
yeah.
what?
Never mind.
It can't be, so at least based on what I know. So what that means is the first time we get through, low and high are both set to the last trade rate. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, one other thing we need to do. After we call calculate high and low, what we need to do, you can't put the ellipse in. You can't calculate this if there's one problem. If low is equal to max value, that means for some reason we had no data points. This is an error condition. Error, unexpected error, that sort of thing. Error. And so I've got an accident. I think arguably that'll never happen because we're adding a data point here, so maybe I don't actually need that. Okay?
Yeah.
There's no dispatcher involved. All that. And now I've calculated my high and low. Now I think there's a shot it'll work. Let's see. So we don't have any data points yet. Divide by 0. Chart height in dollars. Oh, if my high and low are the same, that's my error condition.
So we don't chart when it's 1.
Yeah, or we do this. We say, hey, look, if high is equal to low, we could do this. Oops, sorry. We could say, you know what? We could say high is equal to high plus 1, and low is equal to low minus 1. So it'll show up right in the middle. So we can change this high plus equals 1, and low minus equals 1.
Mm-hmm.
As long as low wasn't 0. Maybe some check here to say, hey, look, if by chance we took low below 0, if low is less than 0, then the low is equal to 0. And I guess we could also say, well, if high will never be, high will be greater.
Yeah.
And let's try that. So we're going to reset and run it again. All right. There, right in the middle. The first one we're expecting is in the middle. The Okay, so the price is not jumping a lot. We don't have a lot of big changes here yet. But we should see bigger changes. Wow. Wow. Oh, here's the thing though. We are not updating previous older points. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to update the older points.
Yeah. So it's looking much more extreme than it really is.
Yeah, we need to see them to really see what's happening. Those points are going to be much closer to each other as we update them. Okay, so we've got the new high and low. We've got to move the other points, and we need to attach, kind of somehow connect this piece with the ellipse, the dot that we had, so that we can move those up and down. I'm going to save that for next time, I think. You cool with that? Or do you want me to go for it? I can also go for it if you want me to.
No, I'm fine with that.
Okay, so we're going to save, so here's, let's do this so we remember what to do for next time. We're going to be in Friday when we come back here. To do, connect the ellipse with the data point, the stock data point, using a dictionary, and update the height, the position, its position, each time we get new data. Is that okay with you? You like that? Are you good with that?
Yeah,
You understand
I'm
that?
fine
Does that
with
make sense? Yeah?
Yes, that's okay.
All right. Any advice for folks who might be going to Disney World? You got right now?
Pack a lot of sunscreen
Sunscreen?
and a lot of water.
A lot of water. I drink the water for sure. Water's good. Look at this. Copperbeard is in here. Copperbeard's grandfather.
Really?
Yeah. Looks like it was Chuck's Charge. Copperbeard recently posted a picture of a grandbaby. Cute little grandbaby. I saw it on Twitter, I think.
Copperbeard is in the house.
Congratulations to you, Copperbeard. We're about just closing up the show. We're going to switch over to do a raid. Let me go ahead and hit my raid button, see what we got. Thanks for joining us, though. Kelly, you can check on that code if you want.
All right.
Got our to do in there. We know what to do. We know what to start off with.
So we did a lot. We added.
We connected. We added that Bitrex NuGet package, so we're able to now get stock prices live. Stock prices.
Yeah.
We started storing the data and started charting the data. That makes sense? We're taking it a step at a time, right? We're going to do this a bit at a time, right? So everything makes sense. Let's get the rate going here, see who's out there. Send over to Wet Panther. And I'll just get the rate started. Campbell's going to type in his stuff, checking that code out there. That's out at the, what is it, KidzCode 1. Can you go bring up the GitHub page on that? So you get that link. It's over on the left, I think. This is where we're starting here. Copy that to clipboard. Actually, I'll do it. I'm going to go come over and copy the clipboard, come back over here, paste it in the chat. That's what we're working on, kids. If you want to catch up, we're going to continue that next Friday, I think.
Yeah,
Unless
Friday.
we do a special show between now and then. I'm going to start the raid. Here it goes. Say hi to White Panther for us, and we will see you
Friday.
Friday.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, kids.